because now you have more and more files for GitHub Copilot to take into context before it gives you any code suggestions. So you need to keep in mind that GitHub Copilot really doesn't have a clue what language you're writing. So essentially, GitHub Copilot is an autocomplete on steroid. It's simply trying to predict the next word based on the information that it has. And also because Copilot does not have a clue what language you're writing in, be sure to check the code that is suggested, because it may or may not be correct in your language. For example, maybe missing a bracket, missing a semicolon, missing a parentheses, missing certain things, or maybe the function name does not exist, variable name may not exist. So be sure to check the code that is suggested to you. So time to see this in action. So say, I am going to use VS Code for this presentation. So to install GitHub Copilot extensions, so you would go to extensions and enter GitHub Copilot. And you'll see a list of GitHub Copilot relating technologies or extensions that you can install. And if you have not had any of these GitHub Copilot related extension installed, then you should see an install button somewhere here, and you click install and go through the process. And once you have, and for your information, GitHub Copilot, any of the other GitHub Copilot extensions require this base GitHub Copilot in order to work. So you cannot just install GitHub Copilot Chat without installing GitHub Copilot. And also you need the subscription. What you're subscribing to is the subscription fee. The $10 or $19 is to this GitHub Copilot, and you do need that subscription in order to be able to use the other ones as well. And once you've gone through the installation for the GitHub Copilot itself, once it's installed, then you'll see this little icon here. Okay. And then for the GitHub Copilot chat, once it's installed, then you will see this little icon right here. Okay. And okay, so now let's create a file called calculate sum of two integers in .cfm. So right off the bat, I named the file that is somewhat relating to what I'm trying to do. So one of the simplest way to start with is by using comments to tell GitHub Copilot what you're trying to do. So say create a function which takes, as you can see as I'm typing, GitHub Copilot is trying to predict what I want to do. So for the suggested text, you can see that it's kind of opaque in color. And if you don't like, you can just ignore that and just keep typing. 2 integers as and return the sum. So in this case, so let's say if I like the text suggested, I can just hit tab to accept that. Okay. And then, so here you go. And so if there are options, if you mouse over the opaque text, which is the suggested code, and if there are different options for that, you can click the left arrow, right arrow to go through this list. So let's say if I like this one more, then I can just hit tab to accept that. And and also GitHub Copilot is rather forgiving in your writing. So let's say for some reason by mistake you misspell the word integers. Okay. And it still knows what you're trying to do, so you don't have to spell it exactly correctly. So sometimes, even if you have some typos, GitHub Copilot still knows what you're trying to do. And in fact, you don't have to write the comment in English either. So say, for example, if I were to write that in Chinese, I can do that too. Okay, and the comment, as you can see, the comment itself can be mixed languages. You can write something in Chinese, something in English, and it knows what you're trying to do. And it would return the exact same thing as before. Or if you can write everything in Chinese as well, for example. Yeah, there you go. So sometimes you do need to poke a little bit, so to speak, for GitHub Copilot to actually start generating the code that you want. So sometimes you may, if not, sometimes it will just keep on writing comments, but sometimes if you notice that it keep on doing things that you don't want it to do, or that's not the intended purpose, you can delete that, or you can start typing something. So then GitHub Copilot knows, oh, okay, you're trying to write the function user, you're not just trying to write comments. So again, in addition to say Chinese, you can write that in Spanish. And since I don't know Spanish, I will just use this to use Google Translate to translate that for me. And there you go. As you can see, the comments are written in 3 different languages. and the functions that got generated are exactly the same. Copilot knows what you're trying to do, so you can write in the language of your own choice. You don't have to write that in English, and you can even have some typos in what you're trying to do, and Copilot still knows what your intention is. So let's say now, now I want to call the function and output the results. Okay, so let's save it. And for time saving reason, I have actually created a command box instance of this code base. So let's run what we just wrote. And there you go, it's 5, which is precisely what 2 plus 3 is. Okay, so now let's try doing something with Copilot Chat. Copilot Chat knows what what tabs you have open here, so you don't have to copy the codes here and there in order for Copilot to work. And for the GitHub Copilot, it is configured to answer only programming relating questions. So let's say if you write, do you know the way to San Jose? It will say, will politely decline your request by saying, sorry, but I can only assist with programming related questions. Okay. So, and also for time-saving purposes, I've actually created a MySQL database, and with a table called customers, which takes in the first name, last name, address, zip, and all that. And for simplicity's sake, I just made everything except the ID. The ID has to be there, but everything else is optional. Okay, and I've also created an data source connection, which points to this MySQL data source. Okay, so let me create a file. It's called customer form 3.cfm.